Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Usman. I am working in Center of Data Science, Government College, University, Faisalabad. My today's vlog is about big data, and it is quite beneficial for the computational sciences students as well as anyone who will see this content on YouTube. Now moving to the definition of big data. Big data is basically extremely large and complex datasets which are not captured by the traditional mechanisms. Rather, they are stored, captured, processed, analyzed using computers. And the computers are not basically the small or microcomputer. Rather, servers, blade servers, etc. they are placed on cloud. These blade servers and these computers are normally placed in data centers. Now, uh, diving further into big data, I will first tell you the features which will define the big data. Conventionally, there were 3 V's about big data, and these 3 V's are basically the volume. Extremely large or extremely big size data is known as the high volume or big volume. The second V is basically that with what speed the data is being captured, stored, accumulated, generated, populated. That is the second V, and it is known also as velocity. The third V, the conventional third V, is about the variety of the data, the different type of the data. So normally we can talk about big data is too large, too speedy data, as well as have a lot of diversity. That is known as the big data. These are the conventional 3 V's. Then there's an addition of V's, and now we have 7 V's. Now let us discuss each V in detail and come to know that what does it mean by each V. So starting from the first V, the very first V is about the volume. And what does it mean by the volume? The volume means that huge amount of data. Now, how much huge amount of data? So, for going deep insight into the volume, now let me first tell about some of the measuring symbols and measuring words. These are basically, everyone is familiar about megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, and somehow petabyte. But when we are working or talking about big data, we have further certain type of chart. Now, what are these? The computer science students must familiar with these words, and these words are beyond the terabyte. Now these are basically petabyte, and if we talk about in 10 raised power, then 10 raised power 15 is called the petabyte. Normally gigabyte is 10 raised power 9, terabyte is 10 raised power 12, petabyte is 10 raised power 15. We are adding 3. Then exabyte 10 raised power 18. Then moving next is zettabyte 10 raised power 21. Now let me clear another thing to you, that if you place 9 zeros after 1, then it is a billion. Now I will today in my talk about the zettabytes. We will basically measure our data in this talk about big data in zettabytes. And what does it mean by zettabyte? 10 raised power 9 plus 12, that is basically the terabyte. Therefore, there are 1 billion terabytes in 1 zettabyte. Remember one thing, there are 1 billion terabytes in 1 zettabyte. Now I think that when I will talk about the volume of the data, you will definitely come to know that what enormous and what huge amount of data is the big data. So I think that everyone now familiar with this exabyte, which is 10 raised power 18, petabyte, which is 10 raised power 15, similarly zettabyte, which is 10 raised power 21, and then comes yottabyte. Since in my talk I am not discussing the data in yottabyte, but however since I have talked different peta, exa, zeta, so yottabyte is basically 10 raised power 24. So remember that 10 raised power 24 is yottabyte. Now, first of all, I will tell you that what will be the size of the data in different decades, as well as what we are expecting the volume of the data accumulated on different servers on internet globally. So I have certain downloaded certain data and then compiled in a single file. I'll share that with you. And now talking about this is basically what is the global data creation in a chart. Statista is a website, US based website, from where I have got this information that there was about 2 zettabyte data was collected since 2010. 2010 we have accumulated a data of about 2 zettabyte. Until 2015 this number changed from 2 to 12. Similarly, when we talk about 2018, only 3 years, the data is about triplicate. It triples the data, which is 33 zettabyte. And in 2020, it is about 47 zettabyte. Now in 2025, we have 175 zettabyte data. And I have talked that 1 billion terabyte data is basically 1 zettabyte. And at the moment, after 2025, we have 175 zettabyte data. Now moving further, that we are expecting and anticipating that in year 2030, we will have 612 zettabyte data. Now you can think that what is the volume of the big data. Then in 2035 it is anticipated and we are expecting that we will have 2142 zettabyte. This is basically the volume of the data which we are accumulating at the moment. Now moving to the next V, which is basically the velocity, the speed of the data is accumulating, the speed of the data is generated, the speed of the data is populated. This is basically the speed. What are different examples that from where we are having this data? Real-time streaming data, social media websites, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and we also having some IoT data. What are the Internet of Things? We have some, let's suppose, body area networks, and there are so many devices in our bodies. They are populating these kind of data. This data is also known as the IoT and sensor data. We have different sensors installed, and these sensors are getting data, live data. They are populating their data and they are placing their data on some server. Similarly, the variety. Now, variety is basically the different formats of the data. The data can be structured data, semi-structured data, JSON data. It can be image data, it can be video data, it can be tweets, text-based data, it can be geostatic data, longitude, latitude, coordinates of different locations. This is also similarly metadata. The data which is defining further the data is also known as the metadata. Now moving to the next V, that is basically the veracity. What does it mean by veracity? Veracity deals with quality and reliability of the data. Whether you are getting some data from authentic source, and nowadays we are dealing with that fake news and fake images and fake videos, AI generated videos are in market. So we are now devising and developing certain machine learning solutions to detect fake news, fake images, etc. So the veracity matters a lot. The data you are getting or you are seeing on social media or anywhere, is it authentic or not? This falls in the veracity, the quality and the reliability of the data, authenticness of the data. Similarly, the next V is about the value. Now, what does it mean by value? Let's suppose that I am talking something and someone else, some important personality will talk about something. It matters a lot. For an example, that Rana Sanaullah, the senator, if he talked on some media channel about something, definitely it matters a lot because he is a senator, he is the spokesperson of PMLN. Similarly, if anyone, for example, Donald Trump talk, matters a lot. Now moving to the next V, which is basically the variability. Now what does it mean by variability? Variability means that sometime it may happen that the data is changed. It may happen that data is changed by the time. Let's suppose that someone has launched a product, and in the beginning of that product, the feedback of the product is not quite good, but after some time it may happen that the product is improved, and then the sentiments, then the feedbacks about that product is changed. So this is the variation in the data. For certain time period the sentiments were different, but after some time the sentiments are changed. So there is a variation, and that is known as the variability of the data. So changing meaning and patterns of the data over time is known as variability. The last V, which is the seventh V, is about the visualization. And what does it mean by visualization? The ability to visualize big data. Now, I have talked about that it is quite impossible to get some insight into the big data when it is in numeric form. But if you make a chart, if you make a graph, if the graph, we have different type of graphs: scatter graph, bar graph, line graph, similarly pie graph, which basically we use when we want to get some insight in out of 100%. That is also known as a pie graph. That will give us a very good insight. We have discussed all the V's. These are the 7 V's. Now let us get some insight that what different social media websites are accumulating the data over hour or per day. Facebook is getting the data about nearly about 4 to 5 petabyte per day, and the data Facebook is accumulating is about content creation, interaction, the clicks, the likes, the metadata, and logs, activity logs, etc. So Facebook is accumulating about 4 to 5 petabyte data per day, and about per hour it is accumulating 0.172 to 0.21 petabyte, which is about 170 to 210 terabyte per hour. Now talking about Instagram is accumulating about 95 million pictures, photos or videos per day, 95 million. And if we transform into the gigabyte, then it is about 28.5, nearly about equal to 28.5 petabyte data per day. When we talk about TikTok, a well-known application, it is collecting nearly about 3 exabyte data, and exabyte is nearly about 3000 petabyte. So you can imagine that how big data is accumulated per day on different social media websites. Now talking about YouTube. Everyone knows about YouTube, and since I will also place this content on YouTube, talking about YouTube, globally YouTube is collecting 500 hours data. 500 hours data per minute. 500 hours video data per minute. And it is roughly about 720 terabyte per minute. And sometime, if we transform into per hour, 43.2 petabyte per hour. And this is only the content they are accumulated, not the viewing traffic, because when the viewers will view this content, this is also involved the upload and download of the data. Talking about X, previously known as Twitter, Twitter is having 500 million tweets per day, which is estimated to equal to roughly 5 terabyte per day of the raw tweet data. Now talking about Snapchat. Estimated data on Snapchat is about 1.2 petabyte of snaps per day, and it is about 50 terabyte per hour. It is the data Snapchat is accumulating per hour. Now WhatsApp, a messaging application. WhatsApp have 100 plus billion messages per day, and nearly it is equal to about 100 terabyte per day. And if we transform into per hour, then it is about 4 to 5 terabyte per hour. So this is basically the size of the data which we are accumulating on internet. And I think that in vlog I have talked and discussed a lot of information about big data. I will also tell you that what will be the anticipated or expected size in 2030 and 2035. And similarly, I also mentioned that what are the features of these big data. And then I'll also tell you that what different social media platforms are having the data, accumulating the data per hour or per day. And I also mentioned different, you can say the words peta, tera, exa, zeta. Similarly, I also talk about yottabyte. So I think that if you like this content, you can share it also, and you can further view my contents in future. Thanks a lot. Assalamu alaikum.